Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. Honorable Speaker, there is a situation that we are all in. I think it's everybody's responsibility at this point in time in the world, and so critical for the country. It found us How can I carry on? There is no speaker. Mr. Speaker, welcome. Before you introduce, I welcome you. Mr. Speaker, can I go ahead?
Yes, you can go ahead, but you have to be very brief.
Thank you very much. I'll be brief. After exhausting my points that I want to put across. Mr. Speaker, I said there is a situation that we are in, a very funny situation that the whole world is battling, the spread of COVID-19. In that regard, I want to first thank the government through the Ministry of Health and all other ministries that has endeavored to realize the need of the people and the relevancy of the National Assembly members in the fight to slow down the spread of COVID-19 in the country by involving us in the crusade, giving us the opportunity to go to our constituency, to talk to our people, try to sensitize them with materials. Mr. Speaker, in that regard too, I want to thank the committee, or first the National Assembly members, with the foresight to follow the due process to refer this motion to the relevant committee, which the committee did a very good job, that this is exactly that we would have done if at all we understand each other yesterday. But as due process demand, we refer it to them, and they came up with a recommendation that I don't think nobody or anybody will go against the recommendation. Only just to commend them and then add few suggestions to their recommendations. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Speaker, at their introductory part, they said they've engaged or called some ministries or some ministers with their technicians to come and answer to them, which the Ministry of Justice was there as key stakeholder, Ministry of Finance was there. I didn't see Ministry of Health. I don't know whether that was an oversight, because all what we are talking about, Ministry of Health should be the key in the process to inform and give them the situational analysis of the COVID-19 in the country. We have gone out, we've talked to the people, we've heard from them, we need analysis from them, from the Ministry of Health. Point of order. No problem.
Honorable, what's your point of order?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. It's quite unrelated to what the Honorable Member is saying. I have been calling the attention of those at the gates. We are here in an enclosure. And according to WHO recommendations, these enclosures with the AC can be a source of transmission. I have been telling them, let them open all the doors. So I want you to make an order for all the doors to be open, so that we'll get fresh air to be circulating. That's the point of order. Thank you.
Your mic, please.
And I said, you have gentlemen there who are holding the doors.
Honorable Member, please, you made your case, please sit down. Yes, he said. Thank you very much, Honorable Member, for your suggestions. Temporarily, we will open the doors, but if noise is coming, we will certainly close it. Thank you. Honorable Member for Busumbala.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Banjul, for the point, because we are here to prevent ourselves, prevent the country, and we should be the first to prevent ourselves and follow the procedures and recommendation of WHO. So if need for doors to open, please, let's open the doors. Honorable Speaker, I was talking about situational analysis of the pandemic. We had 4. 1 died, 2 released. 1, and then how much are in quarantine is not known. I believe we need to have that situational analysis. And then if we have only 1 right now under treatment, then what should it warrant for us to go for the extension of the state of emergency by looking at the play of the people economically? We need to put it to them. From my own research, I believe government wants to come up with this extension for the best interest of the Gambia, for the best interest of the Gambian people. That means they are privy to information, technical information that we are not, and they've seen that extending the state of emergency could be the best to control the spread. So we want to hear from them, what are some of the issues that are prompting if we have only 1, and there is no case of person to person, local transfer since the local transmission since the outbreak of the pandemic in the country. So we want to know, why would they want us to come up with this public extension if the citizens are not hearing any person-to-person or local transmission of the pandemic? Madam Speaker, I also want them to talk to us, because all the 4 cases are imported cases. They came from outside. So we want to know what are the stringent measures they are using, because already the airports are closed, but the borders are the problem. What stringent measures are they doing to strengthen the border in order to avoid any other importation of the virus into the country? Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, the issue in the country is 90 days extension of the public emergency. As the case is in the world, as we are following the media, nobody will want to see what is happening in other countries to happen in the Gambia. So if the ministry sees that it's only to keep us at one place could be the best, I don't think anybody will go against it or deny that. But the only question that people are trying to ask, if you ask me to stay, and we know that in reality, Gambians feed from hand to mouth every day. So we want to hear if mechanisms are put in place to help people to be able to stay free from hunger, get their family at one place. If we are able to hear those plans from the government, if even worth for a year Gambians to be at one place, we want to be, because we don't want the pandemic to reach the country as it is in other countries. So we want to hear from the government, but they've said from the from the report of the committee that they are looking into it. Some said no, they believe or suspect that the ministry should have said, already we have a plan, and this is what we want to do, where we could have discussed on that. So as they are looking into it, I thank the committee for suggesting for reducing the 90 days to 45 days. But yet still, the question, how best are we going to help our vulnerable people in their homes who lives from hand to mouth from their daily economic activities to feed their families? I want the ministry or the government to look into that. Mr. Speaker, in that, we want to hear from the government the social relief package that they could have for the people, the vulnerable one for that matter. And in that, as they said, they are looking into it. I want to suggest to them that let it be operationalized, not to be politicized. Because this issue is far beyond politics. And then when I say politics, it's not from the government side, but from the realities of ordinary Gambians. As it is now, many people think that anything that governments spearhead it, let's say for example, the president talks about it, many will define it as politics. I want to tell everybody, there is nothing such like politics in this issue. So in that, I want to suggest to the government that let there be a social relief package for the vulnerable families in the country, but to be operationalized. In that, I want to suggest, for example, issuing of soft loans to small business holders. They said, why I want to bring this? Because they said they are looking into it. So I want to suggest this side of issuing of soft loan to small business, considering single families or single mothers renting in the urban areas. Also collaborating with WFP, World Food Program in the country, office in the country. They must have data of vulnerable families and individuals in the country to liaise with them so that if there could be any package, it will reach the rightful person that needed at the time. Mr. Speaker, coming towards that, I want the ministries to fast track on that package of relief for the people. Even for the civil service, somebody mentioned about it here. Give an example of the tourism sector. But even the offices here, some of our officers here are even asked to go for 2 weeks leave or so. If you ask somebody to go home, the family needs something from him. Yes, they depend on salary, but when they come to offices, they do some rabarabas to uplift their families. Obviously, so if you are going to ask me to go and stay at home, where my cannot sustain me, I have to do some works aside to sustain my family. Please, I think they need to be looked into. I'm suggesting a month's salary can even be paid to civil service. A month's salary could be paid for civil service that they call non-essential staffs of ministries, of departments to stay at home. A salary could be given to them. They can get what they want for a month all through the period of this public emergencies. Mr. Speaker, they have talked about the regulations that they gave. My colleagues have talked about so many regulations, but my concern is going to be on transport. To me, I don't think it is going to be easily swallowed by transport owners, the regulation that they want to bring. Yes, it's a time of situation where everybody needs to sacrifice. But in this situation like this, people expect government to sacrifice more than ordinary citizens. If you give a regulation that commercial vehicles should carry half capacity of their vehicles, and then the prices are going to be the same, fares are going to be the same. These past 7 days, there are a lot of complaints from drivers create stops for themselves where they charge exorbitant fares on the ordinary citizens. So if you want to bring the same regulation, now not even giving the same price of fares, but reducing it. Mr. Speaker, I think the government needs to look into that. If there is going to be sacrifice, we expect the government to sacrifice more than ordinary citizens. If, for example, they have reduced the pump price of a liter for Dalasi, they have reduced that one, I suggest let them not reduce the fares. Let them leave the fares as it is and reduce the pump price. And then ask the drivers to carry half capacity of their vehicle. That could be easily swallowed by transport operators than the reality in the regulation. Mr. Speaker, I my second to last point that I want to talk about. People talk about the monetary issue of it. 500 million has been, been approved by the president to fight against, and then we are hearing that more donors internationally and locally is coming up. Through our research and through consultation from people, we are seeing other countries what they are doing. And yesterday the minister have said it here by quoting a section that, so depending on the reality of situations, you bend down some procedures to respond effectively to situations. So as we are in a situation of emergency, yes, the National Assembly might be an oversight institution. But in this, I think we should be an active stakeholder player in this case. I'm suggesting to the government to set up a committee that is going to be responsible of all funding, which the National Assembly should be part of it. Because one, I have a case, whether it's factual or not factual, but I know most of the National Assembly members are aware of it. Because through their interaction with officials, they've detected some malpractices. It's not conclusive, but this is something that we suspect. And this is what many people outside are crying. Yes, some government officials are going to use the pandemic or the emergency to enrich themselves. So to avoid that, I'm suggesting to the government to set up a committee which is going to be responsible. The 500 million to be funded by the government, the donors that are coming outside and locally to be monitored and controlled by the government. Where the Minister of Finance will be there. They are the custodians of our finance. If, for example, I'm just hearing, they say Gambian Vice Captain Omar Koli is donating $500,000 to Ministry of Health to fight against this case. I'm suggesting, for example, if there is a committee, anybody who wants to donate locally or internationally, you give it to that committee. The committee will now give it to the Minister of Finance to know this is the amount of money being donated towards the fight of the COVID-19. Then if Ministry of Health wants to do anything, they submit their plans to that committee. The committee allows the Ministry of Finance to reimburse the money. Then at the end of the day, there is going to be transparency throughout. But if the National Assembly wants to wait, okay, let us allow them to do the work. After they will come back and report to us when the corruption and the malpractices have already gone. We are only going to talk because we've been talking here. This is a suggestion from me for us to have a national committee responsible for the fight of this COVID-19. Mr. Speaker, sensitization is very important. So many things come up here. My honorable colleague mentioned about the football field. Somebody mentioned it here. Somebody even told me that, hey, honorable, let me tell you this. This is not a black man disease. Don't disturb us. This is a white man disease. Even the one who dies here is not a black man. You see, this is a concept that people are having. So that means we need to sensitize. I'm so suggesting to the government. You see, sometimes they come with things and leave people in dilemma, in ambiguity that people start to talk, fabricate stories on their own because they are not being informed. I'm suggesting to the government, let them make use of this. We have so many radio stations here, so many TV stations here. Anything that, for example, a proclamation from the government, people might not understand it. Let us have the technicians to go to the TVs, go to the radios, sensitize people that this is the intention that the government is coming with this. We believe that is going to be in your interest. In the local languages, people could be at the same level. The work that the National Assembly members are doing will continue, I am sure. We will continue. We will continue to go to our people. But sometimes it's technical that you want to put it to them. And again, let me tell you this, sometimes it's politicized. I am a politician. Some feel that when I talk in favor of somebody or a group of people. So the others that are against that group will never listen to me. I endeavor to pay our own air time to go to the radio. Just to open air for people to give us their contribution. You know what they do? First they ask, which political party are you representing before we contribute? This is something that we need to sensitize the people. If we don't, what we are trying to fight against will be very difficult. My last point, Mr. Speaker, if we want to tell the government to strengthen and do more work in order to to control the spread. What had happened, I think we need to be in control of our own case and see this pandemic as a national issue we need to fight together. We have heard at the airport, there are some people who vehemently refuse to be quarantined. There are some people we heard that they ran away from the quarantine centers, but they are within the country. They are with us. Why couldn't we take the risk or take the duty to report them? To tell the government that, yes, my uncle came. He came so. He refused to be quarantined, but he's here. Because telling your uncle to go to quarantine center is you are saving yourself and your whole family and the whole country. Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I think Gambians need to take this responsibility. Let us not see the disease as is somebody's disease. Let us not see the regulations as somebody's regulation. The one that is there, yes, he is given the mandate, but any regulation that I believe he come up with is in the interest of the Gambian people. So the Gambians should see and have that respect for authority. It's also very important. Respect for authority. It's going to be very difficult. Everybody has, Madam Mr. Speaker, this 7-day lockdown has even affected me. It has even come back in the day you, Mr. Speaker, you wanted to say you want to bring a motion to ban attire in the country. Me, I'm a king. I'm an addict to attire. When all the shops were closed, I had my good lunch. Want to get attire, I went around the whole village. No, all shops are closed. So it even affects me. So this is something that we all need to accept. But again, I'm very happy that they are bringing regulation to define. When they say non-essential, what do they mean? Which shops should close, which shops should open? So on that note, Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I urge the government to, these three things, committee to be responsible for funding. Whether you know it or not, you must be, you are following Facebook, social media. People are blaming the government. People are blaming the Minister of Health. People are blaming the Minister of Finance that they are going to enrich themselves with this money. So to avoid that, have a mechanism where you bring everybody in board. Now, when these National Assembly members are there, I can talk to my people and say, this is where the money is coming from, and this is where the money is spending as we go along. Then there will be no blame game as it is growing up. Let us take blame game from this disease. On that note, Mr. Speaker, on that note, if it is only from me, I even want to suggest the 45 days to be reduced to 30 days. Because the government is not yet ready with funding to help people. But it's up to the Assembly to go with the recommendation. So on that note, I thank the committee for doing a very good job, and then I pray that God protect and save Gambia from the COVID-19 spread.